All right, so thank you for tuning in to Chomp at the Bit. I appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully, having a great day. And once again, thank you for making me a part of that day. And hopefully, you enjoy the video. If you remember, made that announcement video, which is the last video I did. So you can go back and check that out real quick. But, this is going to be the first official episode on the podcast with the video. So I'm definitely excited for that. Hopefully, you are as well. And we'll just go ahead. We'll have some fun together. And as I said in the announcement video, this is like the next phase of the podcast. So hopefully like the content. You stick around with me, and hopefully could build this out and make it a bigger deal, bigger audience, and all that. But with that, uh, it's middle of the week. We have Thursday night football coming up, which means I have to do my week 4 NFL picks, of course, because got to get you guys ready for the weekend and kind of need some redemption because last week did not have a great week. I went 7-9, and overall record isn't that good. Currently, I am 20-28 on the season, but still plenty of weeks ahead of me. So plenty of opportunities to turn that around and try to get back over 500. I would like to be like 55% by the end of the season. So have a lot of work to do. But let's go ahead, get into these games. And yeah. Well, before I get into that, please make sure you follow Chop It the Bit on Facebook. There's a Facebook page. But like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment, leave a review, all that good stuff, for all my audio listeners. It really helped me out, help me to, like I said, continue to grow the channel. But now we could go ahead, get into these games, and see if I can do better than 7-9. Because I think I've been 7-9 the past couple of weeks. But obviously, I have to start with Thursday night football, which we'll see the Dolphins traveling to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. And right now, the spread is it's a 4-point spread. Sorry, and I'm going to take the Bengals in this one. I know the Dolphins have played really well so far. They're coming off a great win against Buffalo, which I think is probably their best win of the season. And, they beat the Patriots week 1. They had the great comeback win against the Ravens in week 2. But I think with Buffalo being the team that's like highly touted and a lot of people expect them to be in the Super Bowl, I think Miami picking up that win the way they did, playing, I think it was a low scoring game, so they had to play with a little bit of toughness, and they had to stop Buffalo late in that game because Buffalo was driving with a chance to score at the end there to like take the lead, but Miami stopped them. So it was definitely a big win for them. And the Bengals come into this one trying to get back to 500. Haven't had the best start to their season, but I'm picking the Bengals because I think there's going to be a little bit of a letdown from the Dolphins after coming off that big win over Buffalo. Short week. Cincinnati needs this game to try to build off the momentum of their win last week and chance for them to get back to 500, kind of reset their season. And they could find themselves, I mean, based off tiebreakers and all that, at the top of the division after 4 weeks. So even though it started off slow, they'd be kind of right back where they wanted to be. And because of that, I'm going with the Bengals. I think they're the more desperate team. And because of that, they'll pull this one through. And like I said, I got the Bengals -4. Next game, Browns Falcons. That one I'm going with the Browns -1.5. Falcons are coming off a win over the Seahawks, which was their first win of the season. A big win for them as well because they didn't want to fall to 0-3. And they've also had a struggle to the start of the season. They lost that game against the Saints, a game they should have won. Then they had their next game where they almost made a comeback and beat the Rams late in that one, but fell short. And I think it's an opportunity where they're going up against a team that you could say might be in a similar position to them, where they both have quarterbacks. They're pretty much transition quarterbacks for Cleveland. They have Jacoby Brissett, who's basically holding it down until Deshaun Watson comes off of suspension. Mariota is the quarterback now until basically Desmond Ritter is ready to go. And I do wonder, will we see more production from Kyle Pitts? So far through the first three games, he's been pretty quiet. And I think if the Falcons want to maybe shock some people and win a few more games this season, they really need to get Kyle Pitts going. So hopefully with this one, being in Atlanta, you know, maybe they could get Pitts going. But I just think the Browns with their rushing attack and the struggles that Atlanta does have on defense with tackling issues still. And, and yeah, their defense is still probably the weakest part of their team, other than not like all that dynamic offensively. But when Mariota's playing well, their offense is it's pretty good, I will say. Miles Garrett will have to see because I know during the week he was in like a one car accident or something. So I wonder what that will do for his availability come Sunday. But I'm gonna take the Browns because of their running attack with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to beat the Falcons, um, going on the road to Atlanta. So like I said, minus 1.5 for the Browns there. All right, next game, uh, my Patriots versus the Packers. I mean, this one was tough for me to say, but I'm gonna take the Packers here minus the 10 points for only reason. I think I'm confident in Brian Hoyer as a backup quarterback. My only thing is this is to be his first start of the season. Um, Now I know Belichick had his press conference when being asked about Mac Jones, basically saying day to day, like 12 times. But I'm fully expecting Mac Jones to miss this game as he, I guess, contemplates what to do, whether it's surgery or just rehab it. So I'm not expecting Mac Jones to play, which means Brian Hoyer most likely will get the start with Bailey Zappi being his backup. And maybe if this game was in a Gillette Stadium for the Patriots, I might be more inclined to pick them, plus 10. But it's going to be asking a lot for Brian Hoyer, first start of the season, going to Lambeau Field against the Packers and pull out a win, or much less, I guess, cover. Green Bay, they're coming off that win over Tampa Bay last week. I'm not fully sold on Green Bay yet, of course. Um, Aaron Rodgers hasn't had the greatest start to the season. He looked more frustrated, of course, the first couple of weeks than he did last week, but I'm gonna need to see more from Green Bay before I'm fully invested in them being a legit team in the NFC. The saving grace for New England in this one is defensively, they're pretty good. And we've seen the struggles of the Packers offense with Aaron Rodgers. If those two things occur in this game, then I think New England can keep it closer than 10 points. And who knows, maybe get the win after all. But I'm going to go with the Packers minus 10 in this one. Sole fact that it's on the road and it's Hoyer's first start of the season. Next game, Vikings and the Saints. And all right, so just to let you know, when I'm looking up, I have the games written like on a whiteboard above me, so don't think I'm just looking up there for whatever reason. That's just peel behind the curtain there. So Vikings Saints. I've got the Vikings minus 2.5 because Jameis Winston is. I think he's dealing with like back injury, and for a quarterback, that's tough to play through. And we've seen Winston at times this season have accuracy issues, turn the ball over. The Vikings have been a little bit up and down this season so far. Their one loss was a primetime game, I believe, which continues the trend of Kirk Cousins, for whatever reason, not being able to perform as well primetime. But luckily, This game is it's the London game, so it's going to be like 10 o'clock in the morning our time, whatever that is their time. I think it's like what is that like 4 o'clock their time? I think, but it's 10 a.m. Eastern. I think I think Kirk Cousins might be in for a big day over in London. I wouldn't be surprised to see Justin Jefferson get a touchdown or two. Maybe Thielen gets a touchdown as well. But I'm gonna go with the Vikings in this matchup, minus 2.5. All right, the next one, the Washington Commanders, Dallas Cowboys. I've got the Cowboys in this one minus 3. Yeah, Cooper Rush isn't Dak Prescott, but Cooper Rush has been pretty good so far, filling in for Prescott. The offense looks a little different, um, but he's been steady. The biggest reason for this one, why I'm picking the Cowboys, is we've seen Wentz behind that Commanders offensive line have struggles with pressure. Wasn't it the game against the Eagles? He was sacked like 9 times, which is crazy that a quarterback, would allow himself to be sacked 9 times in a game. But if that's going to happen against the Eagles, there's a good chance we might see Micah Parsons in the backfield a few times. With Demarcus Lawrence, could very well get into the backfield as well. So it could be another long day for Carson Wentz, running around trying to buy time and hopefully avoid the pressure from the Cowboys defense. But I think, yeah, Cooper Rush and those guys on offense with Zeke and Pollard running the ball, I think they'll do enough to win this game. Like I said, giving the Cowboys minus 3. Next game. So looking over here, having an iPad with the game list so I can keep track of them. But Seahawks Lions, and I'm taking the Lions in this one, minus 4.5. Both teams aren't necessarily, world beaters. Of course, they're both coming to this matchup 1-2, but I like what the Lions are building more than I guess the Seahawks right now. The Lions are playing hard for Dan Campbell. I think Jared Goff is having a decent season, but I'm just taking them for the simple fact that it's in Detroit. The the Seahawks, after that win over the Broncos, where you know that was their opening game, and Denver missed that long kick to give them the win. Yeah, the next two games they've lost, I guess, pretty handily, but um, I just think the Lions are a better team right now, even though the record doesn't show it. But hey, after this game, they should be 2-2 and right at 500, which I think for Lions fans, you'd have to be happy about that after 4 games. All right, next one's Titans and the Colts. Titans coming to this one 1-2. Colts 1-1. I'm gonna go with the Titans plus 3. Sorry, they're the underdog in this one. I'm taking them because even though the Colts got a win last week, I need to see more from them as well. Matt Ryan hasn't looked like the MVP Matt Ryan or even the Matt Ryan in Atlanta that may not necessarily won an MVP but still had a good season. He's not doing that either right now with the Colts. They have Jonathan Taylor, but if Matt Ryan can't get the passing game going, then it's just going to make it that much tougher for Jonathan Taylor to find running room and do his thing. So I'm gonna put faith in Vrabel with the Titans personnel. I'm assuming they're gonna key in on Jonathan Taylor and force Matt Ryan to make plays in the passing game. But I'm sure this game will probably see a lot of Derrick Henry. And who knows? Maybe it comes down to Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, whichever one can maybe break a long run, or you know put their team in at least field goal position a couple of times. Maybe that's the team that pulls it out. And I'm gonna go with the Titans +3. Yeah, on the road. Next one, Bears Giants. I wasn't taking the Bears in this one. Yeah, Bears +3. Uh, Also, as you can see, the my picks are scrolling here at the bottom. But give the Bears over the Giants. This one was a tough game to pick because the Giants looked pretty good for a lot of that game against the Cowboys. Saquon Barkley looks like he's kind of back to form. Daniel Jones made some plays. Brian Dable definitely has them looking better than they did last season, but I'm going with the Bears because I'm gonna say Fields will make more plays on his end than Daniel Jones, whether it's scrambling or in the passing game. This will be an interesting matchup between these two because these are two quarterbacks that need to prove something. Daniel Jones, I believe, is in the final year of his rookie deal, so he needs to prove, whether he deserves a second contract from the Giants or at least maybe a starting role with another team next year. And then for Fields, he's going to have to prove that he can overcome whatever deficiencies there may be personnel wise offensively and get enough points on the board to beat a team like the Giants, where I think they're similar enough where if Fields can make a couple of special plays in the game, they'll be able to pull this one out. So I'm going with the Bears +3 against the Giants. Next one might be a sneaky game of the week that we probably weren't even looking at early in the season, but Jaguars Eagles. Jaguars coming in 2-1. Eagles are 3-0, one of two undefeated teams left in the NFL. So this is going to be a great quarterback battle again. We're going to see Trevor Lawrence against Jalen Hurts. I believe they're both sophomore quarterbacks, I believe. So, same draft class. They're going to be two guys that could be linked, together where you're comparing both guys for the next few years. And this is going to be the first matchup against each other. So it's going to be a good chance for one of them to get the upper hand. Now, the Eagles are probably the more talented team of the two, but Doug Peterson definitely has the Jaguars playing well right now. I'm going Eagles mainly because Jaguars offensively, Lawrence has been good, but outside of him, it's basically Jerome Robinson in the backfield who, carries a lot of the load with Trevor Lawrence. Etienne still hasn't really gotten going after missing all of last year. Christian Kirk, and Christian Kirk is a pretty good wide receiver. He didn't really live up to the billing in Arizona, but now that he's with Jacksonville, I feel like he's getting more opportunities to make plays. And I mean, in Arizona, he was like the number 3 option, basically, behind Hopkins and AJ Green. But now in Jacksonville, he might be the number 1 option in the passing game, if not at least the 2. So step up for him. And I feel like he's had a couple of, decent production games. We'll see if, Lawrence and Kirk maybe becomes a quarterback wide receiver duo for the next few years. But I don't think they'll have enough to go up against Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, who's really coming on this season, Miles Sanders, Gainwell in the backfield. I just like the Eagles more in this one. So, like I said, game of the Eagles -6.5. Next game, Jets Steelers. Both teams are struggling right now. I'm gonna go with the Jets +3.5. Only because I guess I believe it's Joe Flacco in this one again because I know Zach Wilson's close to being able to come back. Actually, let me double check that. Is he actually back? He might be because I don't see him on the injury report. And yeah, so Coach Salad, not just, but he said if all goes well through practice, Zach Wilson will start Sunday. So that will be interesting to see. You know, his first game might be struggles early on, but I mean I like both teams defensively. That's probably the better side of the football for each team. But, Joe Flacco might be a little bit better than Mitch Trubisky right now. And if Zach Wilson plays, it'll be kind of a wait and see how he looks when he first, heads out onto the field for their opening drive. And will he be, over anxious, maybe sail a few balls, getting to some turnovers, which we saw he was able to do a few games last season. You remember, the couple of games against the Patriots with multiple turnovers. So we'll have to see. First game back for him. What does he look like? Is he more responsible with the ball? That'd be a big thing for them. But I think the Jets have a slight advantage in this one. So that's why I'm going to take the Jets plus 3.5. All right, next game, Bills Ravens, another one that could be game of the week nominee, but both teams come in 2-1. The Ravens are coming in off of a win over the Patriots. Bills coming in off of a loss to the Dolphins. I'm going with the Ravens plus 3.5 here. I think, like, I'm expecting to see Buffalo try to be aggressive on defense with Baltimore. My only issue with that is something that we saw in the New England game where they would get people in the backfield, get around Lamar Jackson, but he's just shifty and quick enough to get out of that. And then once he does, I mean, he has a lot of room to run, and he's probably the most talented running quarterback in the league today. So that's something Buffalo's going to have to try to minimize, make it so that when you rush him, you kind of rush from the outside and then close in on him instead of just rushing upfield and creating lanes for him to step up, sneak out, and get on the move. We'll have to see. Can Buffalo bounce back from the Miami loss and may regain some of that offensive dominance we saw first couple of weeks? Because that game against Miami, we saw some indecision from Josh Allen for probably the first time this season, and some questionable decisions. Like, I mean, that's kind of indecisiveness, but some questionable throws from him. He almost had the pick six to end the first half, and then the final drive of the game for Buffalo. He had I think it was a fourth down play, and he like skipped it to the receiver, which ultimately led to them losing. So hopefully they can bounce back in this one. But I'm taking the Ravens plus 3.5. I just think Lamar Jackson's gonna be the X factor in this game. All right, Chargers, Texans. Um, so I wrote down Chargers -5, and I'm gonna stick with it because I wrote it down. But the Herbert injury does scare me a little bit because it's a rib injury, and I mean with a rib injury, it could be, you know, on any said throw. He's going through his follow through or whatever in his motion, and maybe he feels it. Maybe that does something to the pass, takes a little bit off of it, could turn it a turnover. We'll have to see what Brandon Staley does. He's kind of taking some heat for leaving Herbert in the game last week against Jacksonville when they were getting blown out, and we already knew that Herbert had the rib injury. So, can Herbert play better in this game and get them a win? That's what we'll have to see. So, like I said, I wrote Chargers -5. Probably should go against it, but I'm gonna keep it because that's what I wrote. So, uh, Chargers -5, and then with the Texans, Texans defensively have been good in some games and been little off in others, but I think it's basically been like one game where the defense was kind of kind of bad. But I mean, big question is going to be Davis Mills. Can he step his game up? Because early in the season, it feels like he's maybe taking a half step back from his rookie season. So can he maybe shake that off, play a little better here, and maybe pull an upset? But I'm gonna stick Chargers -5. Next one we got Cardinals, Panthers. I'm taking the Cardinals +1.5. These are two 1-2 teams. Okay, I can rephrase it because it sounds like I'm saying they're 2-1-2. So they're both 1-2 teams, and I'm gonna go with the Cardinals here because even though Kyler Murray's season's been up and down, I guess I have more faith in him over Baker Mayfield right now and making plays. Although it's not to say, you know, the Panthers couldn't win this game. I'm just going with the Cardinals because maybe this turns into something where it's a close game late and the team with the ball last has the best chance to win it, and that's what happens. So I'm banking on that being the Cardinals here. And I think Kyler Murray, you know, he's another guy who struggled early on in the season, but maybe he's turned it around. I mean, that's kind of my hope here. I think the Cardinals are too talented to be 1-2. Although defensively they are, I don't want to say that they're a complete mess, but it's not their strongest suit. We'll put it that way. So I mean, we could see Mayfield and the offense have a good day against this Cardinals defense, or we could see Mayfield force a few throws in. Cardinals get some turnovers, and then maybe that helps them um, maybe get better production for the defense. I don't know, but I'm just going to take the Cardinals +1.5. Next game, Broncos Raiders. I'm taking the Broncos +2.5 because the Raiders, for as bad as Denver has looked so far this season and the struggles they've gone through, the Raiders have looked, I got to say, a little bit worse than that. The Raiders are one of the few winless teams left in the NFL. If you remember coming into this season, there was a lot of talk about the AFC West with like all four teams making the playoffs. Well, I think we could put that to bed already after 4 games because Raiders are struggling looking for their first win. The Chargers with the Herbert injury news seems like that probably pulls them maybe out of playoff contention, depending on how long he's had to deal with that rib. And even Denver hasn't looked that great through the first 3 games, even though they're 2-1. But the offense is just lacking something. Now, the last game against the Niners, even though it was 11-10 and the score was, indicative of how both offenses were struggling, we did see some signs from Denver of what the offense could be when it's clicking. And I think the big factor into that is we saw at times when Russell Wilson would use his legs to make plays. That kind of got the offense going on certain drives. So I don't know if that's something that maybe he's gonna maybe look to do a little bit more in scrambling because I think past couple of years he's really slowed down on that in terms of taking off for extra yards. But yeah, maybe they found the answer to something to get this offense going, and I'm just not feeling it with the Raiders right now. So give me the Broncos. Well, that's it. +2.5. Yes. All right. Chiefs Buccaneers Sunday night game. I'm sure you've been seeing a lot of commercials for the game on TV, but this is another matchup between Mahomes, who they're kind of, I guess, well, it seems like more the past couple of years, but they're kind of positioning Mahomes to be maybe the next Brady GOAT type quarterback. And then we have Brady, who knows this could be his final run. But I'm going with the Chiefs -2 in this game because the Buccaneers are banged up, number one. Number two, we know that through Brady's career with New England, the first like 3 to 4 weeks, you can't really read too much into it because Brady likes to get going kind of towards the middle section of the season and then ride that wave the rest of the way. So I think he's still working through some things right now with this offense because so many pieces have been in and out. It looks like Mike Evans is coming back for this game. We don't know about Godwin, but I'm just going to take Kansas City on this one because I believe they're the healthier team. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor in that one. And then finally, Rams Niners, taking the Rams plus 2.5. Garoppolo, after the game where he came in for Trey Lance and looked pretty good, all that was out the window against the Denver Broncos. Was the last Monday night because Garoppolo showed why in that game. Garoppolo looked like a backup quarterback. So now, which Garoppolo do the Niners get in this one? Do they get the guy who led the team to the NFC Championship game last year, or is it going to be more of the same? You know, maybe piggybacking off of the Monday night performance where we see him really struggle. Uh, Now Denver's defense played a lot in that for Garoppolo because they were getting hits on him. But now you're turning around with the Rams. You have Aaron Donald, who we know is the most probably dominant defensive tackle in the game right now. Jalen Ramsey on the back end, who's had a slow start to the season, but we'll have to see. Can the Rams, you know, pull off the win here, go to 3-1, send their divisional rivals, the 49ers, to 1-3? I mean, I guess I'd have to trust Stafford over Garoppolo right now, even though Stafford hasn't been too great so far to start the season. But give me the Rams in that one. And yeah, so that finishes the picks. Um, yeah, I'll continue to scroll at the bottom of the screen, but now gonna ask most least confident pick. So the least confident pick I did make, probably the Chargers one because of the Herbert injury, to be honest with you. But the most confident pick that I did make, I'm gonna have to go with. There's a lot of games in this week where I actually had to think a little bit longer about in order to make a pick. I want. Hmm, I mean, that's tough. There's a lot of games I could go either way on. I guess maybe I'm most confident in the Raiders. I mean, yeah, the Raiders Broncos pick with the Broncos plus 2.5. I probably shouldn't be the most confident in that one, but for some reason, I think Denver found something last week that they'll build off of, and the Raiders are going to continue to struggle. I don't know how long that's going to last for them, but they just don't look right now. That's not to say they'll be this way all season, but I don't see anything that gives me a reason to pick the Raiders for any reason against any team that's even a little bit decent one way or the other. And through it all, Denver's defense has been pretty good. And if that's the case, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Derek Carr. And if their offense continues to, take baby steps and looking better, I I I guess I should be probably most confident in the Denver pick. And from that explanation, that probably lets you know that this week there's a lot of 50-50 games for me. So definitely will be coming back, once the games are played. We'll see how well I did. But like I said, current record 20-28, 7-9 last week. Not good on either front. Let's see if we can maybe flip the 7-9. Try to go 9-7 this week. We'll see. But yeah. So actually we'll take this off the screen here. But that's to kind of give you a heads up of where you can find me throughout the week. We already know about this show, Chomping at the Bits. Like I said, follow, like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. You already know. But if you don't remember, you can also check me out on Sports Empire Network, where I go live on Facebook and YouTube, part of the Big Three podcast. And I may have news about another show on there. I'm not going to, say the show right now because I'm not guaranteed to be on it, so I don't want to put that out there yet. But expect an update on that. It's coming soon. But for right now, Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern. You check me out, Sports Empire Network. That's both Facebook, YouTube, live show, 7 p.m. Eastern. So, you want to check um, some more content from me, go over there. Different format because I have two other guys I'm on the show with. So it's a little bit different, more of a, I guess, discussion type of show. But definitely check it out because it's getting better and better every week. Getting a lot of nice feedback from it. But also, while you're there Tuesday, like, subscribe to the channel because there's plenty of great shows on there, plenty of great um, personalities over there. So not just the Big Three podcast. That's not the only good show on the network. Plenty throughout the week. So uh, really would benefit you, subscribing over there. And also, Friday nights, catch me out on JJL Sports Talk Show. That's on YouTube. It's with one of my co-hosts from the Tuesday show. So have a lot of fun on there as well. And like I said, I will update you when I know about possibly being on another show on the Sports Empire Network. But I think that's it. That's all I got for you. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Like I said, gonna be plenty more videos coming, at you over the next few weeks. Gonna keep this thing rolling. Hopefully, gain some momentum with it and take it as far as it can go. But like I said, make sure uh, follow, like, subscribe, share, chomping at the bit. Check me out, Sports Empire Network Tuesdays, JJL Sports Talk Show Fridays. Yeah, I think that's all I got right now. Like I said, I'll keep you updated if there's any more appearances I'll be making on other shows. But that's all I got right now. So hopefully, enjoy this episode. As I always say, be safe out there. God bless, and I'll catch you on the next episode. All right, I'm out. Have a good one.